cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. It's white and it's shiny and there's no more sanding needed. Today is by far the warmest day we will be having all month, but will we be painting in here? We will not, and that is because the accelerator that we use for this paint to help it cure just a little bit faster, we actually didn't have any for the top coat paint. What we've had is for the finish primer, and just to be safe, we wanted to get what's recommended for this paint. So we put it in order to the closest West Marine here that will be coming in tonight or tomorrow. So unfortunately, that has to be pushed back a few days, which isn't the worst thing in the world because there's a few more areas we noticed that could use a little touching up. I know corners, who's probably gonna see these. But if you look down there, Matt has put in some more of our total fairing compound, epoxy fairing compound. That should hopefully get sanded later today. And then just like in these areas, we'll get just a little brush on of our finish primer. But since we are not spraying this hallway between our master head and our master berth for like a few days to maybe like a week or so after we do the head, we have a little bit more time to work on final touches out here. So 2 days ago, Matt kind of just painted some of these areas that I had hit with our Total Fair with a little bit of finish primer. Now I can go through, I'm sanding those down with a foam block and 320. But one of the things that we do want to make sure that we test out before we actually get paint on is this new gun that we're using. We got it from the neighbor who is currently in the tent working. He's a professional painter, so we go to him for a lot of advice. So Matt's just going to test that out with the finished paint, kind of see how it works with the gun, see how it sprays. He's getting that ready outside, so once he gets that set up, we can go take a look at it.
For the final paint on our catamaran, we're using Alex Seal 501 top coat in the color Cloud White. It is a 1-to-1 ratio of base and converter. Going into the tent to grab Josh, Matt was ready to get some first-hand experience and knowledge from someone who had been doing this day in and day out for years. Testing on a sheet of craft paper, the two worked with the gun, making small adjustments to try and get the flow rate and fan size that would best suit our needs for the finish we were trying to achieve.
Good, not bad. It's really where you're landing here. Here and there. Okay.
What they were looking for was which pressure was needed for a flow rate that would come out so there wasn't too much that it would run, but also not too dry where it wouldn't flow.
Well, it sounds like Matt is learning a lot from Josh over there, things that he never really considered before, and plus using the gun that we'll be using for the paint plus the paint is going to be a huge help for them. So my storage is running out on my phone for filming. They've kind of covered the basics. I'm going to let them just go at it, and I will get back to sanding those steps.
We were a day away from spraying our first coat of actual paint on our catamaran, but there was still a lot we had to do. The whole hull needed to be cleaned, and cleaned well. We removed anything that had been in the cabinets, mostly scrap sandpaper, which was sorted into still usable and trash, and then did an initial sweeping of all the dust that had gathered in these spaces. Matt picked off the old tape from our shower pan, and I worked my way aft towards our berth. After I tackled the first round of cleanup, Matt hit the space with our shop vac, going over every nook and cranny to make sure no dust is left behind. From the cabinets to the corners, we're making sure the space is spotless and ready for paint. There's so much prep work leading up to painting because in a project like this, a clean surface is the key to a flawless finish.
Now that we have gotten everything vacuumed, well, I mean, technically I'm still in here. You can see how much dust is down in that area. But Matt is going forward because the areas that are getting painted, we are actually gonna like wash down. So it looks like Matt has got the bilge all prepped down there. Got a hose. So I'm gonna spray down these walls. See how that goes.
How much of a mess I make.
Can this be considered your first shower in the new boat?
Ha!
That was really loud.
That is cold.
I bet it's like just over freezing outside.
Yeah, it's freezing outside and it's not that warm in here, so when I get back.
And now comes the process of drying everything out. Got a nice little lake going in here.
Shot back for the
Showers.
rest of it. But
Yeah.
figure I might as well get the basics with this bucket. Yeah.
We filled it up pretty fast.
Yeah, round one.
Just changed into my work clothes and I realized that I left my coat inside the catamaran last night, so now I have to make the walk over without it. But actually, we've got the sun shining, so it's pretty nice, and I can't be upset at all because today is the day that we're finally supposed to get our first coat of paint on in the boat, which, if you've been following us for a long time, we're coming up on 3 years since I put the very first coats of fairing compound on. Granted, those were in the cabinets, which I'll admit I worked on for way too long, but now we're supposed to get the head painted a nice shiny brilliant white, which is going to hopefully uplift our spirits. We'll have some experience of how it goes on, what needs to be done, what shows, what doesn't, and then we can get the rest of the boat covered too. Matt has our diesel heater running already, going in through the aft berth, so getting the entire hull warmed up. It's paint day, finally. Waited forever for this. Before I can even get myself into that area because we washed it down yesterday, we're about to wipe it down. I need to get all dust off of myself, so using a little air gun here to clean myself off. Sad thing is, I just bought these jeans yesterday at a thrift store, so it's my first time wearing them, and that is how dusty we get in a single day.
We had the dehumidifier running all night, so it's nice and dry in here. Well, except for that spot.
I'm trying so careful not to touch anything as I'm in here.
Yeah, 'cause there's still dust on these surfaces. Even though we wiped them down, of course, now it's dried and it's stuff that hadn't knocked off. We have to go through and wipe all the surfaces, clean those things up. We're gonna end up putting the heat through here. So our 2 diesel heaters, one running down here to heat this area, and then exhaust is gonna be back there. So it's gonna pull all of this through. So I gotta get access to this again.
And then on to cleaning the main starboard hull, because even though this area isn't getting painted, we don't want to track any dust forward with us.
I've just finished vacuuming everything aft of the head. It's a project that I started yesterday, but we got busy with trying to wash down this. So now that I've got that done and kind of de-dusted myself, I am back in the head, and I'm going to vacuum here again, working from bulkhead 3, which is the forward end of the shower, working aft to bulkhead 5 here, which leads us out of the head and into the hallway. And I think after that, we're gonna take some like microfiber cloths and wipe everything down, but it's kind of an exhausting process compared to me just like sitting and sanding coves all day. Now I've got this whole area tarped off. Let's see what it looks like. I think this is the cleanest I have ever seen this space. But what I'm going to do now is take that wood oak, the white oak rift cut trim, and put some tape over it. And oh my gosh, with those heaters running, it is so warm in here now. All right, I've got my denatured alcohol and blue paper towel. I probably should be using a rag, gloves, our 3M vinyl tape that's 1/2 inch wide, and that sticks really well to these outer edges. And then just a plain blue painter's tape, and that will kind of cover the rest and then wrap around. And due to all of the sanding over the past few months, especially over the past few months, I have 0 fingernails left, which means trying to pull this thing has been, like look at it, it goes back to the nubs. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Currently doing some tests, to make sure that the hose doesn't hit. That has definitely been an issue for us in the past. So the pressure on the air hose comes down the steps, follows into here. For the first round, I mean, he's gonna be working fore to aft, so if this touches, I mean, it might get a little dusty. But on the second round, if that touches, well, that's wet paint. So we have to make sure that not only I keep an eye on this hose, Matt has to keep an eye on the hose that's giving him air in his mask. Make sure that doesn't accidentally hit anything while he's spraying. So we're testing all angles. Time for a wipe on, wipe off. All these surfaces as clean and dust-free as possible. Forgot to tape up the shower pan till now, so that was a fun last-minute project. This is gonna be our very first time using the Alex Seal Premium Top Coat 501, and you can see it's in cloud white. It's very excited. So we actually did the test the other day and there was paint spilling down, so we wiped it up, so not so pretty anymore. But we get one part of this, which is part A, part B, the converter spray, so those are 1:1. Then we have the reducer, and finally what was holding us up the other day, our accelerator, which only gets a 1/2 cap for 32 ounces.
So we shook this yesterday, so it is all mixed up, but of course giving it one last spin just to make sure nothing is settled.
White paint, so excited.
So nervous.
And I'm so happy I'm not Matt right now. He has to spray everything, and my job is to make sure that his hoses don't bang into anything that's already been sprayed.
Yeah, having never actually sprayed anything before, it's got me a little nervous. This is like the first day of going to a new school or something like that. Last night I was all jittery when going to bed, thinking about this today.
And stop. Is it starting to feel thin yet?
Yep, and that's not even a reducer in there.
No. Now we've got both the reducer in there and the accelerator. It's had 15 minutes to induct. My first canister of boat paint. Let's do this. fact about me, I cook a good portion of my meals from scratch, which includes freshly cut and cooked vegetables, all homemade sauces, but because of this, I can spend anywhere from 40 to 90 minutes each time I cook a meal. That's why Factor has become our secret weapon. It takes all the stress out of meal planning so we can focus on what really matters, which is finishing this boat.
Factor meals are delivered right to our door, so we can skip the grocery store, the prep work, and all the cooking fatigue. Every meal is fresh, never frozen, and chef-crafted with dietitian approval. The meals are amazing too, restaurant quality without the price tag, and they're so much better than overpriced takeout. This week, I got to try a Gourmet Plus meal with Cajun spiced salmon and shrimp. Even after reheating, the salmon was perfectly cooked, not dry or tough, and the Creole gravy broccoli was the perfect complement. Factor offers over 35 weekly options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, and Vegan and Veggie. Plus, they've got more than 60 add-ons like smoothies, snacks, and even gourmet meals. You can also change your order every week, or even pause if you need to. Factor is now owned by HelloFresh, and with a wider array of meal plans from everyone to choose from, there's something for everyone. I love switching between the brands, and now our followers can enjoy both brands at a discount with me. Make Factor work for your busy life as well.
Now that we're using Factor, I get so much more of my time back. I'm not wasting hours doing meal prepping, grocery shopping, or cooking, so I can put that attention to the things that matter most to us.
Head to factor75.com or click on the link below and use code 50MJSailing to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50MJSailing at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Overall, I'm actually really happy with particularly our fairing, what we've done, because everywhere that I look, I can see what the finished product's actually going to look like now. Where I had issue, of course, is applying the paint, but the first time using this gun, which definitely shoots different than any of the other ones that I have. It's inexpensive, it's about $150 gun. With the adapter, uses the PPS cups, which I already have, of course, my 3M gun. That gives me the ability to turn the gun any direction and spray. I don't have to keep it upright, which with many tight places in many different areas that we have, of course, is a problem. This one, we decided to go with a 1/0 tip. Alex Seal is when it's thinned down properly, reduced properly. It is a pretty thin paint. Looking to reduce overspray, so I wanted a gun that wasn't high CFMs. Air pressure is pretty low on this. We were able to set it at about 22 and shot well. And then the Graco gun does shoot a 9-inch fan, so it's still a good size fan for being a mini touch-up gun, technically. Problems we have with it is when we checked it with the professional, again, the guy that paint spoke, he's been doing it forever. We checked it on cardboard and that absorbed as we were spraying it. The spray pattern looked good, so that's what we were really looking at. But the amount that we thought it was putting out was way too high. So spraying the cardboard, it looked like 3 full rotations was what we needed to go for. When I started spraying, it's supposed to be a light kind of dusting, and immediately basically got finished coat. So in one coating, we applied all the paint that we should have had, which of course was way too much. It also created a lot of overspray because of all that paint coming out, and it made it virtually impossible to see. So I mistakenly thought that everything was going kind of okay until I got around here and saw that I was getting a ton of runs. And when I reduced it down to 2 full rotations and did the rest of it, it turned out a bit better, but still that was way too much. Realistically, we needed 1 rotation or 1.5 rotation on the gun to get what we needed. And that would have helped reduce the overspray that we had. There's a little bit, you can kind of hear this texture probably. A bit of overspray in there. You can see some of that showing probably in the light as well. And then the other thing we had, of course, is too much paint coming out of it, and so we got runs in here. Learning experience, this is going to act as a very nice primer for us now, so we are going to go through and sand it with the 320 again, get it all prepped, we'll wash it off, and we'll be ready to shoot hopefully in the next couple of days the next round. And what we've learned is with that 1.5 or 1 rotation on the gun, it's going to spray properly the mist, but it's most likely going to be able to be 3 coats on a fresh area, and that will give me my full thickness that I need. Fast forward 2 days later, and we're back to where we were. We have gone through, sanded everything. It sands incredibly well when there aren't runs. The runs, though, it made it a little difficult. So Josh, again, the professional painter, gave me a Mirka little nib sander. It's a little nib file. And this, you just take it on whatever that surface is, sand back and forth, and it gets a lot of the runs down and flat. And then from there, we're able to block it down and go the rest of the way. But it did, again, a great job getting that down, but we wasted another 2 days to get back to the stage. Quite frankly, this is gonna act as a very nice primer then for us when we go to, again, spray. Now, I did want to discuss too the issue that we had with the cloud of paint that we had in here. Talking to Josh, his concern was that the temperature that we have inside the hull. So we're able to get it up to 70 something degrees in here, but as soon as we turn on a fan, an exhaust fan, it drops that temperature right back down. The original plan was for me to spray, wait for it to start to flash off a little bit, and then flip the exhaust on and get all of that out of here, all the extra overspray. In this type of an area, it just didn't work out. So as soon as we saw that cloud come on, we kicked on the fan. I thought that was going to be enough, but we had it on low setting, and it just wasn't enough to draw from there. But we'll pull all the overspray out, and as soon as we're done with that, we'll click that off, flip the heaters back on with each coat, and hopefully get this back up to temperature.
This is how we spend our Christmas Eve.
With all the surfaces in the head sanded down, it was time to once more go through all the prep work of cleaning. The spaces had been vacuumed out, and it was time to bring in the hose for a wash down. This time, we did it as early as possible in the day so that it could dry by evening and I'd still be able to tape up the wood trim in the shower pan. Bringing the vent as close as we could get it to the head this time, we started our Christmas morning with painting. Not how we had originally thought we'd be spending the day, but at this point we were eager to take the first available weather window to get this project checked off our list. Through 4 rounds, we went through the process of heating the head, then turning those off and opening the hatch to allow air to vent through as we painted. As soon as the coat was on, we turned the vent off and turned the heaters back on. Each time we entered the hull, we'd have to peel off our shoes and don Tyvek suits to keep contamination to a minimum. It was quite the process, but we knew we'd take every precautionary step possible to not have to repeat all of this again.
The paint is now on in the head, and I'm coming to take my first looks at it since it has been fully applied, and I cannot wait to see this area that is actually done, completed, checked off our list. And I'm so excited that this area, the hull, there's my reindeer antlers, is going to be next. I see white paint. Could barely go in here yesterday, but wow, it's actually done. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. It's white and it's shiny, and there's no more sanding needed. This is our first time using the Alex Seal 2-pack paint, so it comes, you can tell, like a very high gloss finish that has, within just the day now, already hardened so much. I think, especially with these colder temperatures, it's going to take a while to fully cure, so I have to be careful not to accidentally jab it or bump into it or anything. But just the fact that we made this and now it's painted and done. It looks like Matt was in here earlier and he did remove the tape from our white oak trim, which again will get varnished later. But it's so nice seeing how that wood is going to complement that white color. This is unreal. I just can't get over that it's painted. The toilet area, I think, turned out so great because we were always worried about how these corners were going to come together. And it looks like it blended really well in the toilet base there too. And look how shiny, like look at that reflection. Even coming into these weird corners with the chamfered panel going up and around. But just to give you an example of the different stages, let me show you how this area started when we first glassed everything together. The best example is probably going to be this cabinet where we're going to have different electronics and things running with the stairs that lead up from where our owner's hole is. But you can see in here, it's just the green foam that we started with. Fiberglass up there. Nothing has been really sanded or touched. And even here you can, well, maybe you can't tell, but there's like a huge lump. So that would be a totally uneven surface. So this is where we started. And if we had only done the bare minimum, like minimal fairing, just painting, let me show you what that would look like, because from some of our cabinets here, this is the hanging locker. That's exactly what we did. We didn't want to waste any time, so we just slapped some paint on in there. So the hanging locker, if we go in closer here, might be able to see some of that rough texture back there. Tape lines down there. Yeah, we just wanted to get that covered. We didn't really care too much what it looked like. And same thing in the cabinet where our water maker is. Tape lines back there. Rough surfaces, nothing was done. Just wanted to get it protected because it's a work surface, but we zoom out of there and into the painted head now. That is what we turned this into. We figured out all of these surfaces. We made codes. We spent forever going over and over and over it again. And now we have ended up with these shiny, white, fair surfaces. All I can say is that I am so proud of us. It did take us the 2 times to get this done because of the runs, but it was a great learning experience to learn what didn't work. And to be honest, it was so easy to sand down again. The cleaning process was a bit annoying, but now hopefully we should know exactly what to do going forward, or I should say going aft, because this is the most forward area. But then we can start tackling everything else. And I think once all of these surfaces are covered, I'm just gonna be beside myself. I won't even know what to do with myself anymore, because that's been my life now for 2 years. So I'm so happy with how it turned out. I'm still absorbing that we finished an area. All right, we're gonna take a well-deserved couple of days off, but I just have to say again how amazed I am at this final product. And I don't think it was all us. I'm pretty sure a big part of that was Alex Seal and their paints coming out looking so professionally. We've heard so many great things about them, so can't wait to see the rest of the boat covered in their product inside and out. But yeah, right now I'm just gonna go lounge and not do anything for the next couple of days.
Yeah, to pieces, yeah, I need it. Once you bend them on